Sall Grover, the defendant in a case being heralded as the biggest legal case for women's rights in decades, will be in New Zealand from the 4th, which is this Thursday, to the 10th of July for a series of public meetings. Tickle versus Giggle is now before the Australian Federal Court and was brought by a man who identifies as a woman, Roxanne Tickle, who claims he is being discriminated against on the basis of gender. Now, although the Australian Sex Discrimination Act of 2013 defines gender identity, the Act does not define sex, leaving the Australian Federal Court to determine the question, what is a woman? Will gender trump sex in a discrimination case? Can't we talk freely and openly about this? Well, I hope we can talk openly and freely, and that is why we are welcoming Sall Grover to New Zealand to kick off her tour on Thursday evening in Auckland. She's an entrepreneur, feminist, and Sall joins us now. Sall, good afternoon.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's great to talk to you again. I am excited. Are you excited we're coming to New Zealand?
I'm so excited because I'll actually get a winter because I'm on the Gold Coast in Australia and it was 25 degrees and sunny yesterday. So I'm actually excited to wear a long sleeve shirt, to be honest.
bring out your coats.
I'm excited.
So we first had a conversation a couple of months ago when I actually first started here at the platform. And for our listeners, to remind our viewers online, the Tickle versus Giggle case, and I know we spoke about it the first time round. I don't think you had gone to court by then, or you're about to go to court. Can you just give us, a quick run through again about, how you got to where you're standing in court?
Yes, so I'll give you the quickest rundown I can. So basically, I created a social networking app exclusively for women with no concept at the time that there was any dispute about what a woman is. And that's how I was brought into all of this mess. Trans activists attacked it constantly. And eventually that has culminated with a man who identifies as a woman, who goes by the name of Roxy Tickle, taking us to court. He did it, first of all, with an Australian Human Rights Commission complaint against me for alleged gender identity discrimination. And because I did not agree to settle it there, because I would have had to agree to let him on and all men who claim to be women onto the platform, plus go to sex and gender education classes, and I said no. So it escalated to federal court, which then created basically the first in the world case of sort of what is a woman and sex versus gender identity, and addressing the direct conflict of these two concepts, one being real and one being made up. And why it is important, not just in Australia but globally, is because we are defending CEDAW, which is the UN's International Bill of Human Rights for Women, that was drafted in 1979 and is signed by 189 countries, including New Zealand. And it is a document for females, for biological women, the only kind. And so once we have established that a woman is an adult human female and that the law should reflect that, all other jurisdictions who are dealing with this issue can cite this precedent. That's basically it in a nutshell.
You've done well, because you probably, how I can imagine, have said this many times, and you'll have to do it again. We get that. Well, Sall, though, when you were in court, I mean, and it is still with the Australian Federal Court. How was that week? How many days were you in? 2 or 3 days?
So the hearing was in April, and it was for 3 days, which is actually a very short court hearing. I mean, I'd say defamation cases, for example, can go on for weeks. So 3 days is not that long because it turns out there's not a lot really to debate. Either a man is a woman or it's not, and there's only so many ways that you can say that. So it comes down to how the law is written. So part of our defense is a constitutional challenge of the 2013 amendments of putting gender identity into the Sex Discrimination Act and taking out the relevant definitions for sex man and woman. And so if we don't win this round in federal court, we've always been fully prepared to go on to the High Court, which is where it will be a full constitutional challenge and just challenging the validity of the law that basically finds women in a position of discriminating against a man based on his identity.
Wow. And if that happens, Sal, I think we talked about this briefly, the cost of it, we're looking at probably $1 million, wouldn't it be?
For the federal court, it was 500,000 Australian dollars, and so we've done that part of it. So for the next stage, if we do go to the High Court, which is likely because either side is going to appeal. In Australia, the High Court is the Court of Appeal. So whoever gets the losing verdict in the federal court is likely to appeal. I mean, I'm definitely going to.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at anywhere between $500,000 to $750,000 for that appeal. So by the end of it, the what is a woman case to establish that a man is not a woman will cost around $1.2 million, which is
just
absurd
bonkers.
Because at the end of the day, if legislators were doing their job, they could actually fix this in a week for free.
Yeah. It's just bonkers. And you've done this through fundraising, obviously, crowdfunding, because, it's a lot of money to put together.
Who had $1.2 million sitting around
down the back of the couch? Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
ridiculous. For what is a woman? No, we have. It has been the kindness of people all around the world who have supported us to fund this I'm so grateful for it. But the only thing I can stress is that this case is not just for Giggle, it's for everybody, anyone who has been forced to call a man a woman at work or a woman a man, for that matter, or have to indulge any of the gender ideology nonsense in any part of their life, whether you have a daughter who is experiencing this at school or in their sport, and from whatever angle you're coming at it from. And so it has been amazing. So Giggle Crowdfund is our website where we're doing the crowdfund, and there's information on there about the case and why it matters, and any updates that happen will always be posted there. We're waiting for the verdict at the moment, so there hasn't been an update in a while.
So I saw something you posted. I mean, because I follow your post, and it was quite interesting. I thought, that's very poignant. You said women are called anti-trans for opposing men who claim to be women, taking away our rights, while men who claim to be women are not called anti-women for taking away our rights. So do you believe trans is the most misogynistic movement in modern history?
I do. There's a reason why they don't lead with trans men and men. So the women who are claiming to be men, while that is in itself a lie, they're not actually taking anything away from men. They're not winning scholarships or grants or jobs or awards or sporting accolades against them. In fact, the only time we ever hear about women who claim to be men is when they're pregnant. So it's really quite the same old sexism, just just same circus, different clowns wearing a different outfit. But it's trans women are women is the mantra, and it's women's rights that are very much under attack. I think everyone's rights are under attack with gender ideology, because freedom of belief and freedom of speech and freedom of association matter for everybody. But women's rights are very much the canary in the coal mine here. And so for anybody else who does value those belief, speech and association rights should look to women's rights and see what's happening here and understand that everything else follows from this.